is. Let me give you an example. So this last week, I was given a beautiful, brilliant, lovely, wonderful, absolutely terrifying opportunity. And this beautiful, lovely, wonderful, brilliant, and terrifying opportunity came in the form of being asked by someone who I highly respect and who I think is amazing to help him coach a program that he runs. And this meant that just at the face of it, this meant that I was doing a 3-minute video every week. I was shepherding 41 students through the program with a team of 4 other people. That meant that I had to be comfortable with 4 other people that I didn't really know and communicate solely over text messaging, not talking. That's awkward, guys. And a whole lot of other things. Plus, I needed to have a 90-day health goal. I need to read 3 self-improvement books, and I need to watch their entire performance coach library. So I found out all of these things on Monday morning. And
is there enough time in the day?
Yes, we'll talk about that in a minute. So my brain synapses actually did exactly what you just said. We don't have enough time. So I have this synapse over here that is too busy. So my brain is already flashing. You're too busy, you don't have time. And then I have another program that says, you're awkward with people. And so then my self-consciousness is coming up going, you're awkward with people, don't talk to anyone. And then I have another one that comes up that goes, you are too tired and this is never gonna happen. So this is my wall. So my wall just showed up for me wanting to become a performance coach and be a really good one. So that showed up in my life, and all of these different things, all of these different synapses all fired in my brain. All of these pathways of thoughts that I had thought over and over and over again and were ingrained in my thought process just kept showing up. And then one weird one showed up, and it was this one. I was thinking about working with these coaches, people that I wanted to respect and like me, and I was really nervous, and all of a sudden this memory surfaced. I was like, what in the world? It was a memory when I was in the 6th grade, and we were having the 6th grade talent show. Now, at that point in my life, I didn't feel like I had a lot of marketable skills. Hadn't really gotten into piano yet, and even though I did play, there was people who played way better than I did. Did not play the viola well enough to pull that one off, because viola started in the 6th grade, and clarinet wasn't even a twinkle in my eye yet. So all of the things that you would generally think would be in a talent show, I did not have. And I was like, well, I think I write really well. I'm gonna write. So, if I blush, just roll. So I decided that I wanted to write a poem and share a poem because that was a good idea. It worked in Matilda, so I thought it would work fine. So I write this poem, and when I was in the 6th grade, I was not very confident. I was very self-conscious, and I was very lonely because apparently I was a bit precocious, and other 6th graders didn't know what to do with that. Very, very precocious. And so I didn't really have a lot of friends, I didn't have a lot of people that I was close to, and so I decided that that's what you do. You pour your loneliness into a poem and read it in front of the entire 6th and 7th grade middle school. Just sit with that for a minute. I did that. So I stood up. I didn't even memorize my poem. No. Why would we do that? I walked up on stage with a beautiful little antique-y looking book that I had written my loneliness poem in. I have no idea what it's called. I don't want to see this poem ever again. But walked up on stage with my loneliness poem and I read it to the entire 6th and 7th grade middle school of White Pine in Richmond, Utah. Feel free to find someone and they can tell you all about it. Although because of how our brains work, no one else remembers this day. But I remember this day. Because I remember that I got a standing ovation with fear in every one of those faces that I was going to be that girl. All of a sudden, they had to be nice to me because if I didn't, I was an at-risk student. Because you had to be pretty desperate to share that in front of 6th and 7th graders. So for the next week, everyone in the school was really nice to me. The teachers were really nice to me, the students were really nice to me. It was like there was this silent pact, like, don't let her go over the edge, you gotta pull her back, you gotta be nice to her. So they were. What they didn't realize is, one, I knew they were mostly pitying me. Two, it didn't last. And because it didn't last, I kind of knew nothing had changed. I knew it didn't actually make a difference. So what did that teach me? What did this experience, this memory teach me? What it taught me is, if you are real, people pity you. And that has played over and over and over again in my head my entire life. If you actually tell the truth, if you are actually confident and share with someone your vulnerability, people pity you. Fast forward, how old are you in the 6th grade? 12? Fast forward 16 years. I am now in a group with 4 other coaches who are also very nervous, who are also really just wanting to do their best and put their best foot forward, and who are striving to be vulnerable and real. Because awesome things happen when you are vulnerable and real. That was the lie in this whole situation. I had a voice in my head telling me if you were real, people pity you. Because if the opposition in this world, if the adversary could tell me people pity you when you're real, I would never be real again. I would never be vulnerable. I would never share myself. So he won. Because my ability to connect with people would be gone. Because I never put forth the effort to connect. So fast forward. I am on this call with these coaches, listening to everybody talk and listening to everybody share. And this voice in the back of my head is, don't open your mouth, you'll be awkward. And another voice in my head is saying, don't share anything, they don't want to hear it. Another voice in their head is, if they pity you, it'll be worse than 6th grade. Because these are 4 people that will be here for quite a while. And so I'm feeling, hello, welcome. And so I was just in this maelstrom of voices in my head, like, don't open your mouth, you have to say something, say nothing, do something. And awkward. Because I was not willing to put any effort in to connect with anyone. Not willing to put myself out there. After the phone call, I talked to a very dear friend and go, what do I do? Because I don't want that to happen again. And what I realized in this moment is that I had a choice. I had a choice to embrace this moment. That discouragement popped up and was telling me, don't connect with people, don't be vulnerable, don't be real, that's bad. When it was really saying, if you're afraid of vulnerability, you're never going to make it here. If you're afraid to connect with people, you're never going to make it here. If you are afraid to simply be yourself, that is always going to be a list. So I want you guys to look at your list. What kinds of things are on your list that are keeping you from what you really want? And how many of them do you think you actually can conquer? How many of them are you guys willing to actually give a shot to? Because once you know that it's actually showing up so you can get rid of it, so you can get this, then you have power. Then you have the ability to, there are 2 options. You either start taking the wall apart, brick by brick, and you just pull all of them out until your wall eventually crumbles because you've let them go. Or you build a ladder and you go up over your wall. Because what you realize is all of this stuff really isn't that scary. Yeah, it's painful. Yeah, you have to sit with it and process it. Because what did I eventually have to do? Eventually, I had to realize what it was I was afraid of. I walked through with my friends, okay, this is the memory that came up. This is the fear that I had. What do I do about that fear? And so the next segment of this is I'm going to teach you the techniques you need to either build your ladder or to pull out your bricks so that your wall comes down. And there is one other piece of information I'd like to give you before we move to that next segment. And that is, in our process of moving forward and trying to reach our goals, they always tell us, like, find a role model. Find someone who's done this before and then follow their example. And so I did. I found my role model and I researched and I went, okay, if this person did X, Y, and Z, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z perfectly. And I'm gonna pretty much drive myself into the ground doing this perfectly, because that's how you get what you want. What we don't realize is they are on a different sidewalk getting to their destination than I am. So if this person is over here who never had a 6th grade talent show, the 6th grade talent show is not going to show up for them, so they don't have to be on the same path that I am to encounter my 6th grade talent show. And so I have to respect the process that even though they did X, Y, Z and that got them there, even if I do X, Y, Z perfectly, it still might not get me there. And so what you need to do is, as you get rid of all of these things and work through all of these things, you start listening to the voice inside of you that gives you ideas and suggestions, that gives you directions, because that little voice inside of you, it can be your inner self, it can be your higher self, it can be your higher power, it can be the spirit, it can be the universe. Whatever it is, I guarantee you, there is a voice inside of you that is not going to let you go off the path that you really want to do. It's not going to let you get lost, it's not going to misdirect you, but you have to learn to work through all of these things and to be still so that you hear it when it tells you stuff. So let's dive into the things that you need so that you can hear that voice and that you can be directed.